Welcome to the Sideline Live podcast. Subscribe for more episodes and follow our social media at the Sideline Live. We'd love to hear from you. On episode 14, I'm delighted to be joined by Dublin senior footballer and 7-time All-Ireland winner Jonny Cooper. On this episode, we had a brilliant chat about all things high performance, his pre-game routine and his new page, Be Unrivalled. I hope you enjoy. Hi Jonny, thanks a million for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, and well done to you. I know you do have been doing lots of great work, so appreciate all your work, and I'm glad to be here.
Thanks a million, appreciate that. First of all, congratulations, 6 in a row. What an achievement.
Yeah, it's been very different, obviously, for everybody, and in terms of the sporting side of things, 2020, will it happen? It will happen, it won't happen. It did happen, and very pleased for it to happen in the first instance or be involved, and then obviously Dublin end up being successful in the end, so extra pleasing, albeit we didn't have people there, but hopefully those people watching, those that do support Dublin, that is, but people watching were able to watch from their own homes, and no doubt lots of people cheering against us as well, so look, that's part and parcel. But yeah, thanks a million. It's been an enjoyable few weeks, and you know, we're looking at 2021 season straight away, so that's always useful to turn your attention pretty quickly and get going again.
Brilliant. I'm interested to talk to you about your preparation, and you know, I think Bernard Brogan called you a process ninja. I think it was in his book. I'm interested to hear as well, has your preparation or maybe pre-game routine changed at all over the years, kind of starting back to your first All-Ireland a couple of years ago?
Yeah, it probably has. Quantify it for you, maybe like 30-40% in all sorts of different ways. So initially coming on, I came on in 2000, joined the senior football squad in 2012, which Mayo bet us that year. No, didn't play or wasn't involved, and then 2013 I played and we're lucky enough to be involved kind of ever since. So in terms of preparation, yeah, it probably has. Naturally enough, things evolve. Things like analysis that evolves in terms of, how to do it. Can you do it a little bit quicker? There's always new progressions in strength and conditioning and new ideas and new coaches with different exercise and so on. Nutrition, likewise. I think everything kind of evolves, and the science, if you like, behind it naturally enough evolves too. So you go with that. And then I think, from just a preparation point of view, you're in a room essentially, or you're within a group that has, 34, 35, 36 other athletes amongst you, and then you have all sorts of expertise and medics and coaches and coaches with specialization from a defensive or an offensive point of view. So I think that then kind of goes into the mix, and your preparation, you start to see different things. Or what happens, what I find myself doing an awful lot is looking at people that play in the same position as me on the team, and that gives you little bits of insights. I would say probably, and the answer is everything kind of has changed from a preparation point of view, but I'd say maybe 30-40% in particular, in terms of where it's at. And preparation is, and the enjoyable thing, depending on what way you're looking at, it's a never-ending chase, which is part and parcel, and that's one of the aspects I enjoy most. That just because you won in 2020 or you played in 2020, there's no right that you'll do the same the following season. So you have to go back and you'll find and talk to people and have conversations. So all in all, it's a journey that we've been on, and it's an enjoyable one as well, as getting after how can you be better in all sorts of different ways.
Absolutely. And kind of chatting then from your point of view, is there anything particular you would do before a game? I know music is a big part of a lot of players, and visualization has become really popular the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. If you think of the roadmap into a given game, and you might have, like we had this year, a week just from one game to the other, or you might have two, or you might have a bigger gap. So I always work my way backwards from a given game date or game time. So what do you need to do? What position do you need to be in? Walking out of the dressing room out to the pitch, and then work your way back. Where should you be? Jumping onto the bus, and then your meal and the sleep the night before, and the strength conditioning or the the on pitch work that you need to do the 2 or 3 days. So I just work my way backwards in terms of what I would do pre-game routine. There's not a massive amount of highlights in it. It's pretty much just get the basics right in terms of knowing my role. If I'm lucky enough to be playing from a tactical and a technical point of view, it's obviously being in the top physical conditions. That includes your kind of normal sleep and nutrition habits and patterns. And then, as you mentioned there, lots of people listen to music will be a big part in terms of trying to get myself up to the right arousal state. So that's obviously important. You don't want to go in too much and you don't want to go in too little. You're trying to get the balance. And I think that in itself is something that you figure out as you pick up more experience. But probably music is the only slight difference that I might have that maybe the next person may not have. I think lots of lads do listen to the music, but whether they use it just to fill the ear space or they're actually using it for a purpose. But as I said, mine is probably to get myself up a little bit for the game in terms of making sure I have the right energy and that type of thing.
So you've no crazy superstitions at all?
No, I've no lucky top or lucky socks or anything like that. I just try, use my diary and things like that, make sure I have all my preparation done. And if I'm confident that the week has gone to plan, then I guess the performance side of it or the going out to the pitch side of it to play the game is actually the really enjoyable part. Although it's obviously massively challenging and you don't always get what you're intending to do out of the game and from a personal point of view. But nothing crazy or nothing too out there, unfortunately.
And in terms of then, you're walking out to the pitch, you do your warm up. Usually there's 82,000 people there on All Ireland final day. How do you stay focused and in the moment during the game and during the warm up?
Yeah, it's funny in some ways in that there's obviously a massive amount of people normally there, and when you're the first thing when you run out from the tunnel, you're hit. You're hit almost with that wall of energy, wall of noise, wall of electricity. So that bounces into you, and in some ways, you're trying to harness that energy to fuel you, not only in a small way, but fuel you a little bit in terms of making sure that in the 20 minutes time or 25 minutes time, whatever it might be, that when the ball is thrown up, that you're really, and I wouldn't say up for it, but you're really bang on the money in terms of you just have the right amount of energy in you. You know your role, you have clarity there. You're trying to negate a threat if that's what your job is as a defender, for example, or you're trying to make the right runs for a goalkeeper, whatever it might be. So in terms of warm up, you're obviously trying to physically get there, and mentally you're trying to just fine tune the last couple of things, and then also obviously then from a technical point of view, you're practicing your skills. So there's still 10-15 minutes to make sure that if you're kicking the ball, your head is down, or you're striking it from the right place on your boot, or whatever it might be. So it's obviously a 20-minute period before the game to get yourself up to the pace of what a given game is normally. And then after that, you trying to enjoy it a little bit, because I guess they pass by so quickly in terms of the occasion, albeit you don't play the occasion, but you do try to enjoy it a little bit. You're typically anyway, your supporters or your family or friends are there watching. So you're obviously trying to do your very best. So I personally will be only a small bit now, but cognizant or aware that kind of they're watching, and I guess they're the reason why you're there in the first place. So you're trying to do that justice as well.
Mm-hmm. It's like Jack McCaffrey. I think he got a lot of stick for enjoying the moment. He was smiling around the parade a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he tends to smile a lot, and this is the thing, isn't it? Like, I mean, it takes all sorts. It takes people that are a little bit more serious. It takes people that are a little bit more happy-go-lucky. It takes that person that's in the middle. It takes the analytical. It takes the stronger, the smaller, the tall. And that's the beauty of teams. Because if you're all like me or all like Jack or all, you need that diversity of behavior and of thought and of talent and skills and whatnot. So, Jack brought his own uniqueness and characteristics to the table, and lucky enough to have played with him for a few years. So I seen them firsthand, and what a person and what a player, I guess. And you never know, you might see him back at some point if he feels up to it.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Kind of chatting about the team for a few minutes. Dublin are well known for having this kind of approachable environment. I know maybe that wasn't always the case. How was this sort of created, and how can other teams and maybe organisations recreate this for their own employees or teammates?
Yeah, there's obviously some specific programs of work that take place under any manager. I've been involved with Pat Gilroy, Jim Gavin, and now Desi Barrett from a senior point of view. So I think under the given leadership at a particular time, they naturally enough bring their own thoughts, their own ideas, their own different, I guess, concepts that they're looking to employ or impress upon from their onto their players, if you like. So I think under those three managers in particular, you see all sorts of different things that would be able to pinpoint one, or was it this over here, or was it this particular activity, or was it this? I think it all kind of comes into the mix, and things like there's obviously on pitch development, but I think there's leadership development and there's team development and behavioral development and so on. So all of the above would have been I guess, put into the mix at various different stages by all of our coaches and managers. So that's the first thing that I'd say, is that the leader in some way sets the pace, or in our case, the manager sets the pace and sets the tone, and they introduce certain things. And then I guess over the last couple of years, there's a lot of experience now within the group, people that who have been around for a number of years, who have been successful individually and on a collective basis. They have, as we mentioned, Jack already, their own uniqueness and skills and different day jobs that the players all bring to the mix. And I think that then when you have kind of a pace set from the top, and then you have a group of guys that or girls or whatever it might be that are willing to put in their thoughts and be a little bit vulnerable, obviously be committed to the cause, I think then you can start to see some traction. And I think there's also something I should note, in that there's a bit of luck associated with this as well. Dublin have been successful, but at the same time, there's been very small and fine margins in some of them cases. So I would say there's a bit of luck. And I think the more you win, the more it becomes a habit. And if you like, it's a bit of an addiction, for want of a better word. There's lots you do and you do well. And then on reflection, no different to any other year, on reflection, when you're writing your notes in your diary, you're saying, I could have done that, or was my approach. So there's always bits of fine tuning. I think that's the beauty of this particular time or team, just to maybe go back and always be hungry and be curious for what more can you do, or could you have done that better? And the answer is in most cases, anyway, yeah, you could have done that better. So that's probably what 2021 will all be about. How can you do it better?
That's really interesting, and it's like the players and like the teammates and the teams and the organizations have to have that attitude of being hungry, as you said, and willing to learn and look back on what they did and always looking to improve.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's, I guess, curiosity or openness is, I think, a great characteristic for a person or a competitor or a teammate to have. I think first and foremost, if they're open and if they're kind of pushing and proactive, who can I talk to? What course can I do? What book can I read? Like this now, what conversation can I have with somebody? I think if they're open and willing, I think that's the first kind of step along the way. I think, as I mentioned already, being vulnerable, not everything is going to be, where you thought it would be. You won't often get what you want, or, people often view failure as feedback and just something that you should take and go and try to do again. So I think that curiosity and being open, and then being a little bit vulnerable, being a little bit kind of out there with yourself, but also with others, is also helpful in terms of progression. And, as I said, looking for those gains, because they don't come easy. That's the important thing, I guess, as well. They don't come without work. They don't come without trade-offs. There is obviously sacrifices, but I think on the other side of that sacrifice, potentially anyway, there's obviously great rewards to be had from a personal point of view, and also from a team or organizational point of view as well. So I guess, again, it's the never ending kind of cycle of who can I talk to, how can I improve, who has the answers to the question, because I guess somewhere, someone somewhere has the answer to what the question that you want answered. Sometimes you know the question, and sometimes you haven't stumbled upon that question yet. So I guess that's always ahead, and that's always kind of the reach ahead.
And talking about that, having that curiosity, that's something you've really taken advantage of. And I know you've gotten a really unique opportunity to visit. I think it was a couple of rugby teams. What were the biggest takeaways from those experiences and those trips?
Yeah, I have been incredibly lucky. So come that with this particular, I guess playing for Dublin has come a number of opportunities. So I've been to visit lots of different teams from a sporting point of view. Your Munster, your Leinsters, Saracens in the UK, some cultural exchanges with some NFL, or sorry, some AFL teams in Australia, Richmond, who are the champions down there, amongst some others. So I guess the first thing you're going in and you're saying, how can I learn? And you have your notebook and then your eyes are wide open. So you're just trying to spot as much as you can. What is he doing? What times? What's their language? What's their body language? How are they interacting with each other? So I guess you're kind of just waiting and seeing what comes to the fore.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of then just some highlights, I guess the first thing, and we mentioned a different way a moment ago, was just how open they are, how curious they are about your background, what sport do you play, what has your experience been, how have you dealt with. So I guess from there, if you have somebody that's like myself or anyone that does do the cultural exchanges from time to time, that you're obviously going with an open mindset, but they're actually coming back. And I would say to the place that I've been, that's from the head coach. In all cases, the head coach to the medics, to the physios, to the S&Cs, to the players themselves. So I guess there is kind of a collaborative nature to it all, even though you don't know lots of these people or only met them that day. So, but yeah, probably being open, them being open, I would say, is probably the main learning, and not overly surprising, but at the same time, because they're all professional, well, I did anyway. You think maybe they might be a little bit different, but at the end of the day, they're not. They're just looking for gains, and they're just looking for, I guess, to be the best they can possibly be. So it's not a surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise, but I guess in some ways it was, because they're professional, or they're in terms of what they do, their day job.
Absolutely. So they were looking for a couple of year secrets, were they?
Yeah, they were disappointed, and it was very short conversation. But yeah, they were. So I had to deflect and had to. Yeah, but people like just as an example, yeah, like Owen Farrell in Saracens went over to Saracens for 2 days, took a couple of days off work, flew over to London, up to taxi up to their grounds, and out of the taxi. Anyway, watched their session, and then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I'm in a cafe 20 minutes down the road with Owen Farrell for an hour and a half, 2 hours, talking about all sorts of different things. And that type of thing. This is the captain of England at 25 or 26, and obviously has done lots since then. And for me, a massive role model, and that type of thing. So, you obviously get a bit of a bounce from that. You're going, okay, well, maybe not that I didn't believe I had something to offer, but I was going there very much with what can I pull into me to help me or to help my teammates. Whereas I guess he had kind of the same, and I'm not surprised, but given his level of performance, but he had the same kind of thing. So I guess little small things like that, and keeping it. And I know Owen's Farrell, Andy Farrell is head of our Irish team, so little connections. And Owen's younger brother actually plays GA here in Dublin, funny enough.
Okay.
So little small connections. So even things like that. Not all. It wasn't all to do with leadership and captaincy and so on. It was actually some other just human elements of the conversation too.
Deadly, that's really cool. And then, kind of chatting about developing habits and routines, I heard a quote recently. It was thoughts become words, words become action, action become lifestyle. That was from Patrick Beverly. I want to kind of get your take on developing habits and sort of that self discipline to develop that habit into the routine.
Yeah, well, and particularly nowadays, I guess, particularly under the magnifying glass of COVID, in that the walls, in some cases, or the pressure seems to be getting greater and greater on people. be it you have kids at home, or be it maybe some people are out of work, or from a health point of view, some people have suffered, or the close. So I guess thoughts are always kind of, your mind is obviously an incredibly powerful thing, and that it can assist you and enable you to do so much, but also at the same time, conversely, it can play tricks on you sometimes. So I think from a thoughts point of view, and there's dedicated work that you can do, mindfulness, keeping a diary, reflecting on things, getting honest feedback, that type of thing. So you can assist your mind and your mindset to kind of help you or enable you to get into the space that you want to get to, or to form the habit that you'd like. So I guess understanding your mindset and the power of it, both positively but also negatively, is important. And then from there, I guess from a habit formation point of view, or certainly from my experience, you're just trying to form or figure patterns out. So in a very simplistic way, because sports in lots of ways is simplistic, you're looking to achieve success or to win a trophy or whatever it might be. You have by and large, you have your timeline mapped out for you. And as a competitor, as a player, that I need to go to the gym, and I need to sleep, and I need to eat, and I need to do my analysis and so on. So from that point of view, your thoughts are very much just clarity on your thought. Okay, where does my attention need to be on a given day, or on a given task, if I'm training or out in the pitch, whatever it might be. And then, so if you have clarity on what you're looking to do or where you're looking to go, that then starts to form some patterns. And then from a neurological point of view, those patterns then kind of become a little bit harder, a little bit more formed. And that kind of then from there gives you then the actions or the behaviors or the day-to-day, what you actually see people doing. So I guess thoughts are important in terms of the first step to enabling, as you said, thoughts into, even from a flow point of view, thoughts into words, and then how you're speaking to people. Then over a period of time, your body language become behaviors, and then those behaviors, when done often enough, become your habit. And then the last one for me is the habit. The habit over time then becomes your value, and then becomes a value or a set of values that you have. So I guess thoughts, words, behaviors, habits, and values are kind of that cycle, I would see it, or have experienced the last couple of years. So yeah, I'll pause on that one, but very interesting space. Lots to it from a neurological point of view. But I guess that has been, by and large, some of that answer has been my experience the last few years.
Mm-hmm. And talking about building all these tools, confidence is something that's really big for players, and it's something I've definitely struggled with. Can you kind of give maybe a snippet or maybe tips on how players and other people, not specific to sport, can build that confidence and that self-belief?
Yeah, well, the first thing I would say is finding out, and I appreciate the younger you are, the more difficult this is to answer in terms of have a concrete answer, but finding out a purpose or a why. So where would you like to go? Okay, I'd like to be in this company in 6, 7, 8 years time, or I'd like to be CEO, I'd like to be playing for this team, or whatever the I guess end goal might be. And then from there, you're trying to, I guess, work your way backwards, or you're trying to then say, okay, well, if I'm now 15 or 16 or 17 years of age, what do I need to do? Okay, I need to do my academia to give me an opportunity to get the CAO points to get into the course that I'd like to do, which then hopefully would lead me into opportunities. I would think that lots of the confidence or the self-belief comes, or you can root cause it, if you like, and have a look at your preparation. And you'll know, and I know this, and I know you're studying hard yourself at the moment. So if you have the necessary work going into an exam, you'll feel a little bit more confident that, you know what, if any of those questions come up, I'll be able to answer them all quite well. But then conversely, and I've definitely experienced, you go into it underprepared and you're going, I really hope this one question comes up, because that's pretty much the one that I know, or I should have known 3 or 4, but I only know one. So I think that confidence and self-belief, not in full, but is drawn from the preparation that you do. And I then think, as you go and as you get more experience and as you get more learning and you figure out the world, for want of a better way of saying it, a little bit more, you start to then know, okay, well, this is what makes me good. Okay, I'm not good at what that guy or girl does over there, but this is what makes me good. And then when you have a little bit more, I guess, of a grounding in that area, you'll know that I don't need to be Johnny over there, because I'm this person over here and this suits me absolutely fine. This is what I'm good at. And to be honest, I probably struggled. I resonate with what you're saying. Probably struggled myself with that, particularly when I was 16, 17. I'm not the biggest guy from a physical point of view in the world, but I thought I needed to be bigger from a sporting point of view. And to be honest about it, I remember this very vividly, and I'll finish by with this example is Pat Gilroy telling me in, I think it was 2011, 2012, I can't remember, but it was my first year was 2012, but it was in one of the years where I asked him for feedback, and he said, you just need to get a little bit bigger. And I was 74 kg when I told me that, and I'm 76 now, if you like. So I don't personally think those 2 extra kg made a big difference. So the point I'm trying to make is yourself, and when you're become a little bit more okay with who you are, the skills that you have, because when you do, if you are to take the time to write them down, you'll come out with a full list of I am great at, and you'll have a full page. Of course, you'll have things that you're not so good at, but who doesn't? So, yeah, I'll pause on that one, but I'm happy to go into any more if there's any further question on it.
Yeah, that's interesting about having that list and kind of writing down what you're good at, because it's so, like, as you said, it's so quick to focus on the negative and what you don't have. Whereas if you realize, you know what, I actually have a lot, that I've a lot of really good attributes or characteristics that instead of just focusing on what I don't have and what I need to get.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so many people, particularly at an executive level, like sports is such a powerful vehicle because, if you think about it as a player on any team, it doesn't have to be an elite or a senior team, but in any team, you'll have a set of coaches, or maybe their parents, but they're coaches, and they bring their expertise, or they read books on your behalf to make sure you have the best drills or the best preparation, whatever it might be. So when you think about it, it's not just you that has so many powerful attributes. And of course, you can work on them all the time and get better. So it's not only that, but what your school environment, your family have is an ability to plug that into a system that then enables you or accelerates your development and so on. So I think you're absolutely right. It's so easy, particularly with social media, particularly with people aspiring to be that guy or that girl over there. And as I said already, sometimes that's not a bad thing, but in many cases, people are maybe looking at slightly the wrong area, or it's social media followers, or I need to be a little bit more like that person. Whereas the reality is you can't be that person. You're the only version of yourself. And in my experience, anyway, or people that I've worked with, or coached or come in contact with the last couple of years, when you just point, as you said, when you just point their eyes into, well, what makes you great? And then you start exploring that, and you find really, really quickly, okay, well, tell me about that time you had a really good game. And why did you have a really good, well, the preparation, I just felt really strong and I knew what I was doing. Okay, why did you feel really, I went to the gym. And when you work it all back, you'll just, it's like literally a thread and you're just unwinding it the whole time. But sometimes, as you said, people maybe don't ask the right questions, or sometimes don't have the right support around them. But when they do have the right support or know the right question to ask, I think that's when you can start to really develop and help others. And that's something I get a massive kick out of myself.
Absolutely. And that was something I was going to reference with. We're going to chat about Be Unrivalled. And what I noticed from the logo was you read it as Be Unrivalled, but you can also read it as Be You, and that importance of being yourself. And as you said, get comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, like that's on purpose, I guess. So I wanted something that meant something to me. So the Be Unrivaled, by definition, is you're out there on your own. You have no rival, you have no competitor, and I appreciate that. That in itself is probably something you'll never get to. But the concept or the definition is something that I found very powerful. And then, yes, and well spotted, was the B and the U, the two first, were something that's very important to me, because a big part of my development was when I eventually realized you don't need to be that guy that's really big over there. You don't need to be the person that's a little bit faster. What you have, or your values, or your background, or your drivers, or your traits, they're so unique as it is. So let's concentrate on you. And that's something I think that's a big part of development is, yes, let's reference, let's talk to others, let's do cultural exchanges, but don't ever forget that you are you, and you're absolutely good enough. It's just about maybe trying to develop, ask the right questions, get the right support, and as you said already, point your eyes into the direction that's going to assist you and not restrict you.
Absolutely. And chatting about the ideas and the stuff you're sharing on the page, what's the aim with it all? Is it to inspire the people who are following the page to go after that? Is that kind of the aim?
The aim for me initially, so at the very core of all this was from a personal point of view, how could I assist myself to get a little bit better? As I said, that Be Unrivaled idea or concept, can you bring it? And I try to anyway, bring it to my space, my personal activities. And then I guess from there, one of my kind of one things I get a massive kick out of or enjoyment out of is assisting and helping others achieve um, the success that they want to in any context, business, family, sports, job, course, whatever it might be. So from there, I just said, well, I have a story to tell. I have experiences. I've done my academia, sports science undergrad, executive coaching, master's in organizational behavior and psychology, and some other things. So why not try bring a bit of my practical experience, grounded in some theoretical elements in academia, and put them out there. To be honest, messing around with it for probably a year or two before I said, you know what, I'll be a little bit vulnerable. I'll put myself out there a little bit. I don't know how it's all interpreted. I don't know if it's useful. Feedback has been brilliant so far, but of course, you can always do better. So I guess in a long-winded way, it's to assist others to maybe provide or to stimulate or provoke some thoughts. And as I said, I really enjoy working with people, coaching people, helping teams, etc. So I get feedback from it. Some people love it. Some people have thoughts of their own, and that makes, I guess, it all the better in the long run. So it's something that hopefully I'll continue to pursue, and people enjoy it. That is, and if I have something to tell and maybe some value to add, then all the better for somebody else.
Absolutely, yeah, please do, because I'm obviously really interested in what you're doing. I'm a really big fan of it. And I'm interested to hear, who do you, before you set up the page, who were you getting value from on social media, and who was kind of giving you that information that you were looking for?
It's a great question. One of the hacks, actually, that before I answer the actual people or persons, that I always or still do actually, but used to do more so, is if you go on to like a whoever social media, someone that you look up to or a company or whatever it might be, and if you look into their followers, so see who they're following, and all of a sudden you see, okay, there's that person over there that does the mindset work or does the mindfulness or the leadership, whatever it might be. So that's how I often bounce around and find different people or try to find different people. And from there, probably lots, probably too many to mention, but there is one or two. There's a guy called Michael Gervais who does podcasts and other things
Mm-hmm.
online. Found him probably 5 years ago, maybe, just kind of podcasts and different things. And he's on social media and everything else, of course, now. But so he's definitely one who has just provoked lots of my thoughts or stimulated lots of thoughts in me the last couple of years. And yeah, he's probably been the main one, to be honest. There's obviously lots I try. Listen, I try just finish reading Bill Walsh's book there, try read and different things like that. But in terms of online or podcasts anyway, or some of the content he puts out or has put out the last little while, Michael Gervais over in the States. He works with the Seattle Seahawks over there, which is an NFL team as well. So he has a sporting background and interest as well as organizational.
That's really interesting. I'll definitely be checking out his page. So the sideline seven is the same seven questions for every single guest, so the listeners can compare the answers. So I'm going to start off with question one. What is your favorite quote?
Um, Separation is in the preparation.
I like that one. I think I might rob that as well. Best sporting event you've been to, and you can choose that maybe as a fan or as a player.
Um, I was across in the States one of the years to a basketball game. It wasn't a big game or anything like that, but just the overall atmosphere. It was a Miami Heat game. LeBron was actually playing, and it was
Oh
just cool to
wow,
be there. Yeah, it was cool
yeah.
to be there. Never been before, so they do entertainment very very well over there. So really enjoyed that.
It's nearly more about the entertainment than the game itself sometimes.
Definitely.
What is the biggest setback or challenge so far in your career?
Probably been told no a few times, as in from I think around 2010, 2011. So lucky enough to captain the All Ireland under 21 team that were successful against Donegal 2010. And then I thought, wrongly, obviously, I thought kind of the next natural step, i.e. 2011, would have been to be involved with the seniors, but I wasn't. And of course, they were very successful. They won the All Ireland that year. So kind of 2011, albeit it's a massive learning for me, and probably something that has stood to me a lot more than anything else. But 2011, kind of being told, no, you're not good enough, was probably the main one.
Mm-hmm. And then kind of on the flip side of that, what's your biggest achievement on or off the pitch?
To be honest, probably just being in and around the Dublin senior football team for the last number of years. So obviously a massive goal growing up when you get in there for your first session and your first year and your first week. Incredibly nerve-wracking, but probably to still be there and hopefully still adding value. That's really important to me.
Absolutely. Third last question. Looking back, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Yeah, probably just to be yourself, have trust in what you're doing. If you have that end goal in mind, get your head down, work as hard as you can, and just stay the course and stay at it, because good things, I believe, anyway, you get what you deserve, I think, and good things will always happen if you're doing the right work and you're keeping your head down and staying disciplined.
Dream dinner guest, and I'm interested to hear who you'd pick for this. It seems to be a bit of a theme to turn it into a dinner party, so I think I'll allow it for this one.
How many am I allowed?
We'll go with 5. We'll put a cap on it.
Five. I don't even know if I have 5, but I could definitely. Well, Barack Obama is someone that I have a lot of. I follow a lot. His development, the stage it obviously got to, the president of the United States. So Barack, because I'm sure charisma and for his experience, will definitely be one. From a sporting point of view, one of my role models growing up was a guy in the UK called Jonny Wilkinson. So I'd have to send him an invite because he was a massive influence for me. And then I'll probably just go with 3 just to make it easy. But Steve Jobs, again, somebody that I have a massive interest in. Obviously, set up Apple and in his basement with friends of his and so on. So and where it is now, obviously. So probably Barack, Jonny Wilkinson, and Steve Jobs.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting conversation. So my final question is, if your life was a book, what chapter would this be called?
Would this be called? It's a great question. Probably just as simple as content. It's been very rewarding. Lots of learning along the way, but a space and a place that I've really enjoyed. So content.
Yeah, I like that one. Look, Jonny, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on. I want to wish you the best of luck with the Dubs, with the new job in KPMG and with the page. And thanks a million again.
Not at all. And well done for all your work. You're juggling your academia and you're putting out some great value and information for people like myself to learn from. So continued success to you too.
Appreciate that. Thanks a million, Jonny.
No problem.
A massive thank you to Jonny for coming on today. Be sure to go follow his social media pages over on Instagram at Be Unrivalled and Twitter Be_Unrivalled. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave a rating and a review. And if you're interested in starting up your very own podcast, be sure to get in touch with the Primal Productions team over on Instagram at Primal Pro.